Hey, Brook Scholars, welcome back to Remote Learning with me, Mr. Scott. Happy Friday. And this is a very special Friday indeed, because of course this is the last Friday before we have April break next week. You're going to be on vacation. So I wanted to end this week. We've done a lot of wonderful work with nonfiction and annotating, which means taking little notes so to kind of help us better understand the text that we're reading. But I wanted to end today with a poem. And I just came across this poem. It's by a poet called Pat Mora, and I wasn't very familiar with her work, but I've looked into some of her poetry, and it is quite beautiful. When you are thinking about poems, of course, if you're thinking about poem, getting your brain ready, you should be asking yourself a few questions. Number one, who is the narrator? Who is telling us this? And then how do they feel about what they're explaining, describing? The next thing we should be thinking about, of course, is what kind of mood does it have? Is it a scary poem? Is it an interesting poem? Is it a beautiful poem? What does it describe? Is it a gross poem? Ew, nasty. And then, of course, we can start to think about the number of lines of the poem, and we can think about the number of stanzas, and we can look for anything that's being compared to something else. Poets like to do that sort of thing. Let's get started. Here we go. Words Free as Confetti by Pat Mora. Come, words, come in your every color. I'll toss you in storm or breeze. I'll say you, taste you sweet as plump plums, bitter as old lemons. I'll sniff you words warm as almonds or tart as apple red. Feel you, green and soft as new grass, lightweight as dandelion plumes, or thorn gray as cactus, heavy as black cement, cold as blue icicles, warm as abuelita's yellow lap. I'll hear you words, loud as sea roars, purple crash. Hush, as garitos curled in sleep as the last gold lullaby. I'll see you long and dark as tunnels, bright as rainbows, playful as chestnut wind. I'll watch you words rise and dance and spin. I'll say you in English, in Spanish. I'll find you, hold you, toss you. I'm free too. I say, yo soy libre. I am free, 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 free as confetti. Oh, I love this poem, and there is so much to talk about here. Words free as confetti. Okay, let's start by breaking this poem down a little bit. Now, you'll notice today that I'm not using paper and pencil. You actually won't be needing it until you answer the questions after you watch the rest of the video. But instead, we do have some work that we need to do, and let's start by thinking about the lines of poetry here. Okay, we're going to count them. I need you to count them along with me. Are you ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. But we're not done there. 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. Holy moly. 33 lines. That is an incredible length for a poem. But then when it comes to the stanzas, something very interesting is happening there. How many stanzas does this poem have? How many? Three. You got it. You could say three stanzas or three verses. The first one, however, what do you notice about that one? Yeah, it's considerably longer than the other two. You have one very, very long, detailed stanza that the poet is talking about, and then you have two much shorter ones. Very interesting. Now, let's think about our rhyme scheme and notice if there are any rhyming words here. Color, breeze. Now remember, to find the rhyming pattern, if there is one, you need to look at the last word at the end of each line. So here we go. We've got color, breeze, you, plums, lemons warm, red grass, plumes cactus, cement icicles. I don't hear any rhyming words whatsoever. Okay, so we can remind ourselves that a poem doesn't need to have a rhyme scheme. It doesn't need to have rhyming words. It really doesn't. A poem is always, however, written in verses and stanzas. That's how you know that you're looking at a poem. It is written in a verse, in a stanza, and sometimes those poems have many, many stanzas. That's what makes a poem a poem. Not that it has rhyming words. Don't need them. However, what you do get in this poem is this incredible exploration of communication and nature. This is someone who is really, really passionate about describing beautiful, awful things in nature and is using words to describe all of these different things. Now, they're also using their senses, aren't they? So I'll say you, I'll taste you, I'll sniff you, I'll feel you. And it describes all of these wonderful different kinds of things in nature. And it's very much a personal account. The poet, I should say, the poet is telling us about all of these wonderful things and how special and how horrid these things in nature are. Now, the other thing that the poet does, Pat Mora does really, really well here, is that she breaks up the ideas and the natural things that she's describing, and that's done for a very, very important purpose. So, let me give you an example of this. The first line, for example, just kind of ends with a period, and it's a complete thought. Come words, come in your every color. Okay, got it. Words, and they're going to describe different kinds of things. And the next one is I'll toss you in storm or breeze. So, kind of indicating there that words can be used to describe different kinds of things, powerful things like storms, or beautiful, soft things like a breeze. Then things start to get a little bit more interesting. In the third line there, it says, I'll say you. Yeah, do you feel that anticipation, that expectation of like, what? Well, that's done deliberately. That is done so that you are excited to move to the next line to discover what the poet is going to say next and what is going to complete that thought. I'll say you. So you're drawn to the next line because you want to know what it is that is going to be described next. So it leaves you kind of hanging there. And also, let's keep reading. It says, I'll say you, taste you sweet as plump plums. So you're left with this idea. So what the author's doing there, Pat Mora, is leaving the last word. And because your eye needs to travel from plums down to the next line, bitter, that word stays hanging with you. It stays in your mind. It stays in your mind's eye. You're picturing these plums, these delicious plump fruits, and they're hanging there in your head. She does that again on the next line where it says, bitter as old lemons. Now, lemons, I think about this bright, yellow, beautiful fruit that has a really kind of powerful sense of taste and smell. But, when it has bitter as old lemons, ew, I'm picturing this kind of like brown. Are you seeing this like a brown, kind of almost rotting kind of lemon there? Yeah, not so nice, is it? So there, what we've got here, of course, is that in those two lines, I'm sorry, 4 and 5, we've got taste you sweet as plump plums. Oh, delicious. I just want to savor that taste forever. But then it says bitter as old lemons. And I just don't even like thinking about the taste that you may have in your mouth. Blech. So we've got all of these wonderful things. We've got plums, we've got lemons, we've got the storm, we've got the breeze. We're describing all these incredible things in nature. Some of them are nice and some of them are not so nice. Let's continue. Then it goes on to say, I'll sniff you. So we're going to a different sense right now, right? We had taste. Now we're going to smell. So we're using our senses to explore different things in nature and what the poet feels and thinks about these different natural items. So I'll sniff you words warm. I just love the way that the word warm is hung out there. Just, what's warm? Again, you get this nice warm sense, this feeling. I always think about like it's winter. Okay, it's a cold morning. You wake up and you're quite cold in your bed, but then you smell this incredible, like, what is that? Is that pancakes? Is that waffles? Is that eggs? Is that bacon? Is that toast? And that smells just kind of come wafting through like those old cartoons where like the smell is kind of floating and then it kind of like pulls you like, oh, no, that smells so good. So warm, I'll sniff you. Warm things, warm cider in the fall, warm fires, on a cold winter day. So I'll sniff you words warm as almonds or tart as apple red. So now we're sniffing things in nature, almonds, warm, and then the apple red. Then he goes on to say, feel you. Okay, so we did the taste, okay, and then we did the smelling, and now we're touch. We have the sense of touch, and what is going to be described here but green and soft as new grass. Now, personally, I don't. I always think about the smell of new grass, but this is the feel of green and soft as new grass. And then lightweight as dandelion plumes. You can just see them drifting away there. Or thorn gray as cactus. Whoa. Okay. Now we're still talking about feel. I don't want to touch a cactus. Go hug a cactus. No. Ew. Yeah. All right. So what about this? Then it goes to heavy as black cement. Now, cement, of course, concrete, a man-made material that is used to be very, very heavy and powerful. I'm thinking like the road, the street, um, the buildings are made out of this kinds of material, so very, very strong. And this is a big change because let's think about all of the other things that have been described. We're talking about the storm, the breeze, plums, lemons, almonds, apple red, grass, dandelions, cactus, and then we get heavy as cement. Like, whoa, that's not a natural thing. That is man made and it is built and it is constructed to be pretty powerful and strong and heavy. So all of a sudden, we kind of take a break from the natural world and get this heavy as black cement. Then it comes back a little bit cold as blue icicles. Now, I don't like the idea of being cold, but I love the idea of like blue icicles, and they're just kind of hanging there and shimmering and shining in the light. That's a beautiful description there. So after we have our blue icicles going away, coming back to the natural, then we have this. This is just so wonderful. Warm as abuelita's yellow lap. Now, did you notice the footnote there? Let's go down and see what abuelitas means. Abuelita, meaning grandmother. I believe that Pat Mora she speaks English and she speaks Spanish, as we hear in this poem. And I think she's from New Mexico, actually. Where many people speak the beautiful Spanish language. So we have this warm as abuelita's yellow lap. Abuelita, so you're picturing this grandmother now, and she's sitting and she's quiet, and there is so much love coming from her, the warmth, and not just not she herself is not just warm, but because she's kind and she's caring, and maybe she's a wonderful cook and prepares meals, and everyone knows her and loves her in the family. Her yellow lap, and we think about what might be on a grandmother's lap, but a book, a kitten, maybe something. This is very traditional now, but of course, like some sort of crocheting or needlepoint or sewing or something like that in a lap, and to sit in your grandmother's lap and to be held there, warm and comforted and cared for and safe. Ugh, wonderful. Okay, sorry, got a bit carried away there. Okay, then we move on. We're now using our sense of hearing to describe nature and personal experience. It says, "I'll hear you words loud as sea roars." Now that word now for sea and roar, that's not a mistake. That's the way the poet put the word sea and roar and stuck them together in kind of an awkward way because sea roar is not really a word. It's not even a compound word where you have two words that can be put together to make a new word. No, it's not like that at all. Sea roars. But I picture this incredible scene. This is not just like, oh, it's summer, we're at the beach, there's a few waves. I'm picturing like kind of like angry, powerful, dark, heavy sea with waves just roaring up into the sky and coming crashing down. And we're thinking about the sound that it's making loud as thunder. And again, that word there is left there right at the end, and it's just left hanging there, and you're surrounded and filled with this noise. I'll hear you words, loud as sea roars. And then it goes purple crash, not a blue crash, but purple, heavy, red, dark, angry crash down. You hear the noise. But then you compare this enormous, great, big natural sound crashing, to this hushed as those curled in sleep. Now, what is number two? Let's look down at the footnote. Number two, gatitos kittens. Oh my gosh, wait a minute. Let me put that back in context here. Hushed as kittens, gatitos curled in sleep. Oh my gosh, that is just the softest sound I could possibly imagine. Sleeping kittens, all curled up and cute. And not just one kitten, but a whole bunch of them all kind of snuggled together like this. And it's so quiet, you don't want to disturb their sleep. They're sleeping, they're dreaming. Maybe their little tails are twitching, little ears as well. And goodness knows what they dream about, what do kittens dream about, I don't know. But anyway, there they are, and it's so soft. Now you compare that to what we had just a minute ago in the previous with the world's biggest crashing sea sound. Woo! Two very different things. All right, then we get our eyes, of course. And what a feast for the eyes do we have here? Look at this. I'll see you long and dark as tunnels. Whoa, just imagine that, being at one end of a tunnel and looking down a long, dark tunnel. I don't know whether it's a train tunnel, car tunnel, whether it's just a tunnel through a mountain, just an endless tunnel that goes on forever. You can see maybe just a speck of light in the distance. Do you want to go in there? I don't know. I'm getting a little bit scared being in the tunnel. So we've got this long, dark tunnel. Just imagine that. It's kind of closing in on you. And then we go from this kind of feeling of like, oh my God, what's in there, to bright as rainbows. And once again, we're released. We have this, we have this really, really loud sound and then a soft sound. And then we have this really dark, long, and then we have bright as rainbows, and it just hanging there so beautiful in the sky and all the colors. Then we have playful as chestnut wind. Playful as chestnut wind. Wind that's blowing through the trees. We see the chestnuts, the branches, and the leaves swaying. Wow. I'll watch you, words. Rise and dance and spin. Now, if you're watching words, what are you doing? Yeah, might be in a book, right? You're watching, you're seeing, you're looking at the words, right? Then we have these two last lines where we kind of take a break from all of the nature and all the tastes and sounds and smells and sights that we've been excited to describe. And it says, I'll say you. In English, in Spanish, I'll find you. So no matter what language you have, there are words that describe different kinds of things in nature. I don't speak Spanish. I know I can't wait, because one day I will. It is one of my many goals. And I wonder what the word icicle is in Spanish. I wonder what the word, let's see, tunnel or rainbow is in Spanish. Do you know? You do? What are they? Ooh, very nice. Well done, you. Yes. So this is the. It doesn't matter what the word is necessarily. The word describes this incredible rainbow, whether it's in Spanish or in English. So I'll say you in English. In Spanish, I'll find you. Hold you, toss you. I'm free too. I say yo soy libre. Now I've got a French pronunciation on libre. I'm sorry. I don't. Hang on. Now, what's nice about this is, as there's a footnote there, it actually tells you how to say it. Yo soy libre. Libre. No, you don't have rolling R's. No. Anyway, beautiful. I am free. I will say I am free. And then we say it in English. I am free, 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 free as confetti. You remember what confetti is? Don't worry if you've forgotten, because there's a final fourth footnote. Final fourth footnote. Say that 3 times fast. Final fourth footnote. Final fourth fruit note? What? Anyway, confetti means small bits of colored paper thrown during a parade or a celebration. And you can see all of this paper, and there's so much of it in small pieces, and it's going all over the place. I'm free as confetti. I am free as confetti. Words are free as confetti. What an incredible masterpiece of a poem. I just absolutely love this one. All right, friends, here is your final exit ticket before you go on vacation. What I'm going to ask you to do is to answer the multiple choice questions at the bottom of the page. Be careful about number 7. Number 7 has 2 parts. You need to make sure that you get part 1 correct so that you can move on to part 2. Now, remember, I want to show you this as well. For part 2 of question 7, it says, what 2 lines from the poem support the answer in part 1? Don't worry, you don't have to know the answer to that. What I do want to show you is this, though. choose two answers. When you get to question 7, part 2, you're going to be choosing two answers, not just one. I know. Usually for a multiple choice question, you would choose one right answer, and that'd be it. The directions say here you're going to choose two. So be careful when you get to question 7. There are two short answer questions. Make sure that you're answering them both on your paper. Yes, we're going to still line it up as we do. Multiple choice on the left-hand side, stacked up, and then our two short answer questions. And as always, the second grade teachers cannot wait to read your work, so finish it in your best handwriting. Upload a picture. Don't forget to stretch it out on Seesaw. And I will see you back here. It's going to be a while, my friends. Let's think about what date we come back. We're off next week, so we'll be back on the 27th. So have a wonderful week with your families, and I will see you back here with me, Mr. Scott, the ultimate champion, on the best channel on YouTube, this second grade teacher channel. Have yourself a wonderful time. I hope you really enjoyed this poem. Be sure and read some poetry and read lots of books. I know you're on vacation next week, but don't let your mind go to bleh, just turn to jelly because you're not thinking and reading and writing and doing some sort of math. Play games too. Okay, my friends, you take care, and I'll see you back here from Mr. Scott. Bye.